and I haven't told you this, so you might just think I am totally bonkers when I share this with you. But and actually now I'm nervous about saying it because this is going to sound maybe a bit weird. Total vulnerability here, and my hands now are just clenched together because I'm scared to share this. But I did my notes the other day and was talking to my mum in a conversation, writing down her words to me.
Mm-hmm.
Hello.
Daddy, I love him!
Mother thanks you.
All right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up.
Hello and welcome to the It's a Drama podcast. I'm Liz.
And I'm Brian.
And today, I've got to tell you, I am so excited, Bri. I'm so happy to be sitting down recording this audio podcast.
I know it's raining outside, isn't it?
Pardon?
It's raining outside. So it's nice to be inside.
Yeah. I'm so excited to be talking about... I'm so excited to be talking about my grief journey, actually. Not the weather. Not the weather, Bri.
All right.
Just to be able to sit back down at the table and record this podcast with you. If you're not watching the video version on YouTube, we are we call this our family room, actually, when we're feeling a bit posh, when we have people around. We say, oh yeah, this is the family room. But
It's only small, isn't it?
It's like the walk-through bit from the bedroom to the front room.
It's a hall.
It's a glorified hall with a couch in it and some books.
Can't even call it a landing because we're only on one level, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome back. This episode is all about what grief looks like, but how grief actually feels. And what I mean by that is I have come to learn, and we'll talk about this in a minute, that what you see is not always how people are feeling.
No.
For those who have followed along on our journey, welcome back and thank you so much. This is the continuation of the grief journey that me and Brian are both going through. I lost my mum 7 weeks ago, and it's just been horrendous. But what has really, really helped is being able to come onto this podcast and talk about it. Mm-hmm. And not only that, have the preciousness of you giving up your time to listen to us talking about it. So first off, let me just say thank you so much. You don't know, well, I think you do know how much I love you because I'm always saying it. I'm always telling you. But in case you don't know, I really, really love you. And I appreciate you for being here with us today. Yeah,
no, it's true. And just talking about that thing of that perception of how people see you, or, it's very true that, what people actually see, there's three parts to us. I look at it as there's the person that turns up for this particular podcast. There's a person that turns up for the It's a Drama show, as we call it, which is the YouTube video, where we're normally always sitting outside in the sunshine, hopefully. And then there's you. And it's completely different to those two other people, which it is, isn't it? This is different than the show because we have a different energy for this. This is us wanting to talk.
I agree that the energy is different, yes, but I don't agree that it's different people.
Well, as in persona, or as people would see you as something different, maybe. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. And that's what you want to really talk about on this, isn't it? Because I think you've had a little bit of guilt over this sometimes.
Guilt over what?
The guilt that you turn up on the It's a Drama show, which we've only just done one video lately, or two videos, but only one's been released, isn't it? And you're quite happy, energetic, and laughing.
Yep.
Yeah, because I want you to talk about this, because I want to talk about that as well. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about it then. Let's start right there with how, like you say, first of all, for those who don't know, our main source of income is made by content that we put out on YouTube and through podcasts. We've got another podcast called NZ Ahead. And through the It's a Drama show that we put on YouTube and the NZ Ahead podcast, we promote life in New Zealand. That leads to a paid product that is a community of people who are moving to New Zealand, and we are there to support them. So in essence, we create all this content about how wonderful life in New Zealand is. Yep. We are attracting people who are moving to New Zealand and want all this lovely energy and feel of New Zealand and all the resources and lifestyle. And that's not to say that our community is full of like fairies and flipping fluff and kittens.
No, it's real people,
very real
people moving here, and it's to give them connections on the ground when they get here, and how they go about getting to this, or what service did you guys use? What did you use? What works best for you? So we can, benefit from not so much me and you, but the people who are in the community. They're all talking to each other, aren't they?
And it's an absolutely fabulous community. I can't say enough about it. It's just, I want to talk about it.
Super supportive as well.
Yeah, I want to talk about it later on in the show. But for now, the first dilemma that you get when you're self-employed and your business is going in front of a camera to be happy and promote, like I say, promote and, just be cheerful and energetic and just, light and optimistic and positive and all of those things that we are normally, but right now, really, I am struggling with. I think you're along on this as well, Bri, but you're just, it's me that's really struggling with getting that energy to get in front of a camera and go, welcome everyone, and all that. So what you're saying, you're absolutely right. It has been one of those things where not so much guilt, but no, you're right. It is guilt. It is guilt.
Listening to you afterwards.
Yeah.
And even when I've edited it, you're looking at it and you're going, oh, I look so happy, or too happy for how I feel.
No, do you know what? I don't think I look happy. I think I'm scared that I look fake.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Because, do you know why?
No.
Because I know what I'm feeling inside.
Right.
And that's what this podcast is about. I know what she looks like when I look at that video that we've just released a video
on food.
On food. And actually, just stay around till the end of the show. I'm just going to make a note about this. I'm just going to write it down. Because for those loyal people that are listening to this podcast, I'm going to let you in on a really, really big secret about that video, about that food video we've just done. You're going to love
Even I don't know what this is now.
Do I? You will when I tell you.
Right, okay.
But I'm going to stay around to the end and I'll tell you about it. This is real behind the scenes secret stuff. But we made that video. And what we've just done in the last couple of weeks, because we've got a busy couple of weeks coming up. Tessa's coming home for her birthday. We're going to Hamilton to see Sonny for his birthday. And we know that we're going to be out and about, out of Taranaki, out of work mode. So what we did the last couple of weeks, the last 10 days, we batched a load of videos, didn't we? We made a load of it.
3 videos. Yeah.
4.
Was it 4?
4 videos,
yes, it was, wasn't it?
We made 4 videos about life in New Zealand. Yeah. And the reason we did that is so that for the next 4 weeks, we've got content to just put out. And then if we're feeling a bit rubbish or if something's come up like Tess come home or, like I say, then we've got that stuff.
I know, because people don't understand a 30-minute video on YouTube can take you all day. By the time you edit it back up and if you put B-roll and stuff like that and just get your audio levels and everything looking right, people just think, oh, yeah, it's like Instagram, bump up it goes and you just send it from the phone and you're like, there you go. They don't see all the background that we have to put into it. And just even going getting B-roll and stuff like that is, when we say B-roll, that's just clips of food and stuff and us in the town. And it takes time.
Yeah. But more importantly, it takes masses of energy. And and going back to that guilty thing, like you say, it wasn't that I feel guilty for being happy. I just think, who's that? When I watched that video of us,
you did it last night.
I did.
Yeah.
We watched the video back, and I was like, who's she? I don't remember doing that, but we did, and that's great. And like I say, it's one of those things. If you're a teacher or a doctor or a lawyer or a counsellor or a bus driver, you would go and do your job, grief or no grief, you would go and do your job. You would show up every day, especially people who, like I say, people who are dealing with other people. You can't go to work and just go, oh God, guess what?
I'm having a crap time.
I'm having a rubbish time. My mum died, a few weeks back and I just feel like shit, basically. So you can't do that. And no different for us with our business. It's just that with us, I feel like there's a lot more people to not judge you, but I'm scared. Well, I am scared of that. I'm scared of people. I've talked about this before, but anyway, the reason I'm getting to it. Don't worry, I'm getting there. The reason, and I'm going to talk about the physical effects of grief in a minute, because one of them is just forgetting completely what you're talking about, which I never prepared myself for, obviously. the reason we're doing this, I just want to shout out what's inspired us to do this episode, Bri.
Yeah.
Because today I couldn't, normally I'm really nervous, and today I just couldn't wait. And the reason for that is, one, we have had a ton, and when I say a ton, I'm talking hundreds of people commenting, sending me, hi Liz, both of us messages, but it's usually addressed to me.
Yeah.
Comments of support saying, me too. So many of you. And why am I surprised about this?
I know.
Why?
It's life, isn't it?
Why, when you're 50 odd years old, 60 years old, whatever, do you not think other people have gone through the same as you, Liz? Mm-hmm. And that's one of the reasons why I'm sitting here today, because as much as you think, oh yeah, people just want laughter and they want humour and they want travel and they want New Zealand loveliness. Yeah, but you know what? The same people that sign up for our community to buy our products, to support us, also have mums and dads and sisters and best friends and dogs and, that they lose and they grieve over.
Yeah.
And so when I realised that, I thought, you being here, Liz, talking to Brian, and I know this because lots of kind people have reassured me, and thank you again, but I've said it helps.
Yeah.
It helps to hear it. Yeah. And this, sorry, I feel like I'm just babbling on. Have you got something to say?
Because... No, I haven't got something to say, because I just want you to carry on talking about what you're talking about. Because
all right, so the second reason that I want to point in now, so I must be get my confidence back now, right?
Yeah, but that's what it's about, isn't it?
Wag. Yeah. The second reason I feel confident to come on here and share this content, even though it is nothing to do with what our channel is usually about. The second reason is because my friend Jen she's got a YouTube channel called 1,000 Words.
Yeah.
I love her so dearly. She has stepped up like you wouldn't believe to support me in this journey.
I know.
She also lost her dad a couple of years ago, so she knows exactly what I'm going through. And to say that woman has been an angel for me is an understatement. She's just absolutely incredible. And so thank you, Jen. And I just want to say as well that she sent me a couple of days ago, she sent me a video and she said, I hope this helps with I think she said justifying your grief, or there's another word for it, not justifying. What's the word?
When journey through grief?
No, when it gives you permission, what's the word? Anyway, she said, I hope this helps. And the video she'd sent me was of a woman, an English girl. She's got 600,000 subscribers on YouTube or something. And her business is, she's an influencer, as they say. Yeah. And her business is interior design. She talks about being a mum, about designing her home. I looked at her YouTube channel. But she lost her sister to cancer a year ago.
Right.
And in this video, she's talking about her grief journey and about how she feels about losing her sister. Mm-hmm. And while I was watching it, all I could see was her doing this. She's very, very lovely and very pretty, and she's got long blonde hair. And when you see someone and you think, I know how you're feeling, because I can see the signs.
Just the body language.
Yeah, her body language. She was just she was tugging on her hair, almost like I could see her beautiful vulnerability. Right. I could see that she was uncomfortable, but needed to talk about it. And that's not her audience. I know that, and I could say, but I wanted to put my hands through the screen and go, oh, thank you. Because everything she was saying just resonated with me so much. It was just so beautiful. Because again, when you're going through something, or you might have been through it, before, and you hear someone else talking about it, it just makes you feel so loved and so not alone. And so, I keep saying the word justify, but I don't think that's the right word. But yeah, just so to get, like you've got someone with you, and that feels wonderful. So that was the second reason. And And I'll just quickly tell you the third. Sorry, I know I'm going on.
No,
but I just saw you look at your watch and now I'm getting paranoid.
I was just, my watch tells me if the camera's working. That's all it was.
Is it working?
Yes, it is. It's fine. Yep.
And the third reason, see, this is another thing as well that I would just talk about. But yeah, it's this whole lack of confidence thing. But the third reason is that there's a guy that follows us on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
And he's in Dunedin. I'm not going to say his name. I was going to say your name, but I'm not going to say your name. He's in Dunedin, and he's been following us for years, and he's a big motorbike rider, and his profile picture is of him in this kind of mask thing, or like he just looks like really tough and big, and just like a Kiwi bloke that is just like, whoa, like,
I think he's got a YouTube channel doing sheds or something.
Yes. Okay. Well, I wasn't going to. I was going to try and keep him a little bit more. But yeah, what I'm saying is, if you looked at his profile picture and if you looked at his content, you would just think, oh,
odd as.
You're odd as. Yeah. There you go. And the other day, he sent me a comment on YouTube. It was a public comment on YouTube, telling me about how it was in response to one of the last podcasts I did about grief.
Yep. I
think it was called, Is This Grief or Depression? And he sent me this comment, and I'm not joking. It was profound. It was all his story about how he lost his mum and dad during COVID, about how he coped with that, about how he felt like, he really struggled, about how he lost his dog, about how his bike had been stolen, all this stuff that just made everything that I would perceive about him melt away and just leave this beautiful, like me person that I just thought, oh, you're just the same. And I know that, but sometimes I forget because I think, oh yeah, women are like me and that guy's like me because he's like, but some people I think, oh, you're probably not going to get what I'm talking about here. But it was just gorgeous. And it gave me permission. There you go. There's the word. It gave me permission to think, yes, this content is valuable. There are people out there that no matter what they look like and no matter how you perceive them to be, Liz, it's not the case. Mm-hmm. And that's when I wanted to talk about what grief looks like, but what actually grief feels like.
Yeah, which goes back to that similar thing at the start, isn't it? It's not what you see, it's just not. You might see it and think, oh, they're all right now. And that's what some people say, hey, great to see you back to normal.
Oh,
sort
I
of
know,
thing. And you
so
think, yes, it is, but at least and that's what I was going to say about this was, I've been waiting for you to say, I'm ready to do another video. I'm not saying, Liz, hey, we need to do another video. And so when you then go, I'd like to do a video today, because you start off bright and breezy, and by the end of the day, you can be running out of steam. I can see it, but especially when we do a video, because it's the amount of energy that is drawn from you, because you do always take the lead, even on the podcast now. That's the way you go, and I'll comment as I go along. But we don't have any script. We have an outline of what we want to do, and then everything is just being authentic and saying as we go. Like at the moment, we've got no script for this, so this is just us chatting, and that's why we never know where it's going to go, do we? You can just go off on a tangent.
Always the best podcast.
Yeah, and it can be funny at times, but then it can get really quite in deep, can't it? And you just want to keep hearing what's going on. So I can see when you do a video, it's the show as we call it. And afterwards, especially about 2 hours afterwards, you're going, oh, I don't want to release that podcast. It wasn't very good.
No, it's because I'm scared that I look fake. That's what it is. I'm scared because I know what's going on in my head. Mm-hmm. I know what I'm feeling like. When I'm recording those videos sometimes, well, not sometimes, always, I'm thinking, please let this go, okay? Please let me remember what I've got to say. Please let me not mess this up. Please let me not keep babbling on and be talking over Brian. Please let me just get to the end of it and it be okay. Whereas normally when we record a video, it's a breeze, it's a joy.
Yeah, you get energy from it at the end because you've done it. And that's what I'm saying. But I see this crash from using, your batteries aren't fully charged. I can see they're not. It's still, not early days as such. I'm not saying early days. I'm just saying everybody, copes with things in different ways. I've always been, I know I'm completely different than you. The way I deal with a lot of situations which are either traumatic or with grief and things, which is trauma to a degree, is the fact is, I will not let that define the rest of my life. That's what I don't want it to do. And that's, because you've been asking me, how do you cope with it? And I think, well, that's what I tend to do. Because if I keep talking about it all the time, then you're going to keep reliving certain things. I'm not saying not to talk about it, but there's certain stuff you don't want to talk about because it's too sore, I'm not saying the lifetime of your mum. That's not what I'm talking. I'm talking about what happened just before your mum passed and stuff. Is don't keep going over that same stuff because hey, that's what affects a lot of people, but they stay there. They don't move forward. I'm not saying that. This is just my experience. This is what we're saying. How this is how I cope with moving forward, and I think it's so important that you do have to just take a hold of yourself and go, right, how do we move forward? But not going back. This is what I see with you is your energy levels at the end of the show. You're not fully charged. I can see you've enjoyed doing the show, but 2 hours later, bump, you go down. And to observe that and then think, how do I now move forward with this with you? And that's what I struggle with. Is just, I know sometimes you just got to be quiet and just let you say what you need to say, and hopefully just push you to that. Hey, stop looking at that one particular thing in the show. That's why you think you're too happy or whatever it is. I don't know. That's what I'm trying to say.
No, you do know. You do know.
I do know what I'm saying. I know.
You know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's funny because I had a comment the other day on YouTube, and the lady said, "Oh, Brian, you've got Brian. You something like, you're so lucky to have Brian. Really cherish the fact that you've got Brian." And I just thought, isn't that a given? But then I realised that no, it isn't a given of how absolutely desperately I need you to know how much I love you. How much I love you, what an amazing job you're doing, how grateful I am to have you. I mean, literally, Bri, I could not do this without you. And I never, ever, ever, ever want to do any of my life without you, ever.
Right.
But
I went to work. I went out yesterday for the day.
I hated it when you went out. I spent the whole day crying. It was awful.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did. Can you believe, people? Listen to this. Brian went out and spent the whole day plumbing yesterday and left me on my own. No, I didn't spend the day crying, but put it this way, I missed you so much. But what I did notice when you came home was you just seemed so much lighter and happier. You did, and I felt so guilty. Because I just thought, oh my God, look at him. He's like a breath of fresh air walking in the door. Hang on, I'll beat that out of him. Yeah. Let's talk about my mum. Let's talk about what happened.
Let's
talk about how sad I am, shall we? There you go. Come on, down a bit further. Go.
Yeah, that's because I'd met a guy who lives up the road as well, and it was just, he's probably 4 years older than me or something like that, 3 or 4 years older, and we were talking about retirement and stuff like that, and it's like, I don't want to retire because I want to keep your brain going and business forward, and so that's what I'd been talking about, and that's the thing, and that's the thing, is to hang around people that are full of life and full of beans, and Jeff, the guy I was working with, who had asked me to come and sort of troubleshoot the heating system, he's got a 7-year-old and a 10-year-old, and so he was like, good. I was up in the middle of the night with her shouting out, "Oh, daddy, the house is burning down," sort of thing, and she was frightened, and then 5 minutes later his son's doing something similar, and it's like, what have they been watching on telly? Like, I've not been here, so. And
in section 3 of the show, which I in my head I had this put into sections, like the first section was why we're recording this, the second one is the physical signs of grief, which I'm going to talk about now, and then the third one is things that have helped with this grief. One of those ones is I want to talk about community and being around people. But so going back to the physical signs of grief. So what people don't see. So when people see you on a camera or, I thought about this earlier this morning. Every morning I get up and I go for a walk. I do an hour's walk down at the beach, along the seafront. And every morning I pass the same people nearly every day. And every day I think they look at me. I've got my headphones on. I'm always listening to a podcast. And they must look at me and just think, look at her, not a care in the world. Because but I do. I walk past them and I always go, morning. And I'm always smiley. And 99% of the time, because it's nice to smile at people and say good morning. And it's a lovely day. And I'm in New Zealand. And why, but I just thought, isn't it funny? Because you see people for a blink of a second and good morning, hello, how are you today? And carry on walking. Yeah. And they don't know what is actually going on in your mind. And vice versa, you don't know what's going on in their mind. Yeah. And the things, the physical things, Bri, that I never, ever expected, grief. And why would you? You don't go searching out content when you've got a normal, happy, no one's died, everything's fine life, do you? You don't think, and I understand with this content, there'll be people who think, oh, look at the title, see grief, and think, oh God, no.
Not again.
Not again, yeah. But there are also people out there that are you who are listening to this right now and watching, and this is who we've made this content for. But yeah, the physical things that I never expected. And this has only ever happened to me once in my life before, and it was just after I'd had Tess, and again, traumatic birth and all the rest of it, but was panic attacks. Mm-hmm. Have you ever had a panic attack?
I have to really think about, I've had heart palpitations, and even, I used to play a lot of badminton when I was a kid. Not a kid, but, young teenager, young man. And sometimes I'd be playing there and it'd be like, honestly thought I was having a heart attack because I'd be nervous about the game I was about to play because it was in a match, competition sort of thing. And I wasn't even, I'd just be warming up, and then all of a sudden my heart would feel like it was going to beat out of my chest, so that's about the nearest thing I can get. Right, that might have been a heart irregularity when I was young. I just really don't know what it was, but honestly thought I was going to have to go to the doctor at times.
Yeah, because your heart was beating
so just fast. Beating that fast, yeah. and that was, I don't know what that was. Whether it was a panic attack and I just didn't see the signs of it coming. But in later life, not really, other than one time when you phoned me up when and you couldn't talk on the phone. I thought one of the kids was dead.
When the cat went in the tumble dryer?
Yes, yeah, and died.
Yeah. Oh, that was horrible.
I know, but anyway, that's about as close as that. But that was more tell me what, and that was like my blood pressure would have gone through the roof and so would have my heart rate, but I didn't. I was just thinking, what I need to know what it is. But, yeah.
So a panic attack. This is how I would describe a panic attack. A panic attack just. You are just doing something completely normal, right? So you're not on the phone to anyone. You're not talking about your mum. You're just doing something completely normal, like working on your blog or designing a pin or making dinner. And then all of a sudden, I don't know why, you get a mass of heat come over you. Your heart starts racing. Your mouth just goes like you can't breathe. And this is the big thing. You have to get out of the situation that you're in, right? So that's the key is, and this is what I never knew. You have to just go somewhere. You have to, and you're looking around and you're like, I feel trapped and I need to get out. Mm-hmm. And that's what a panic attack feels like for me. It might be completely different for anyone else, but that is what a panic attack feels like for me. It's a feeling of, oh my God, I've got to go, I've got to get out. Oh, I don't know where I'm going to go. I've just got to leave. I've just got to get away from here. I've just got to, and you can't breathe, and you're like that, and your heart is racing, and you just want to go into where I always, if I'm at home, the first place I go to is the wardrobe. I go into our walk-in wardrobe, I turn all the lights out, I close the door, and I sit behind the door, and I just sit and hold my knees and just breathe, and that is a panic attack. it's horrendous when you have them out and about. I never forget having that one when I was with Tess that time, when she'd just been born. I was in a cafe with friends and I just had it come over me and it was just like, shit. And I just got up and said, I'm leaving. And they were like, what? Where are you going? And I was like, I'm leaving. And I remember just walking down the street, crying my eyes out. Anyway, so a panic attack. And for what? I don't know. Why did they come on? I don't know.
And you're not thinking of something at that moment in time? Are you sure it's not just like, oh... And then you start thinking about something like it kicks in?
No, because the other day it happened and I was literally just, well, let me give you an example of two physical things that happened. So me and you watched that film the other night, didn't we, called Frequency.
Yes.
It's an old film and I was like, Brian, I said to Brian, what's it? He said, we've seen it before. I said, what's it about? And because, you try and look for like nice, relaxing films to watch at night. And you said, oh, we saw it back in 2000 because it came out in 2000. You said, it's just about a guy that his dad dies. And I was like, oh, no. And you went, no. I said, no, I don't want to watch anything depressing. And you said, no, it's a really happy film, remember? It just made us want to have kids and it's really good. And it was. It was Dennis Quaid and it was about a guy that dies and his son is able to contact him in the future and change the fact he doesn't die anymore and all these things happen.
Yeah.
But
it's just what's happened a few last month, wasn't it? When the solar flare and all the skies were lit up at night, and it was all like that, freak things that was happening. Like 30 year span difference.
Yeah. And so this film, and it was a really good film, and we sat and we watched it, didn't we? I didn't cry, did I?
No,
I was sitting next to you. I was completely fine. We watched this film and it all had a happy ending. And in the end, the dad and the mum are there playing baseball with the all-American kid.
What if someone wants to watch it now? Then they're going to know how it ends.
Well, I'm sorry, but I've ruined it for you. But anyway, my point is, I was absolutely fine. And then it was 11 o'clock at night. And we said, what we always say was, right, okay, you ready for bed? Yep. Okay, I'll go and clean my teeth and get myself ready. And you're going to take the dog out and, bring the water in and all the rest of it and do what you do when you go to bed. When you're in your 50s and 60s. And I went into the bathroom, put some toothpaste on my toothbrush, complete and utter breakdown, absolute massive panic attack, just like heart racing, crying. Now, probably what that was it's not fair because that film showed them being saved and the dad didn't die in the end.
Right, yeah.
And probably subconsciously I was thinking,
that didn't happen to me.
Yeah, that didn't happen to my mum. So maybe that's what it was. So yeah, that's one of the physical things that you see and then you think, what oh my God, who would guess that? Who would know that is what would happen? And I want to talk about what you do to calm that down. Well, what I do to calm that down is just the box breathing that you told me about.
Yes. Yeah. What are you going to tell people what that is?
You can tell people because I think I've talked quite enough now.
That just comes down to box breathing, which is, I think it's something to do with the Navy SEALs to calm them down in any sort of situation, which was a nice steady a count of 4. 1 and 2 and 3, and that's when you're breathing in. Hold it for 4 seconds, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and then you can breathe out for 4 or 6 seconds, depending how slow or easy you want to breathe out. Then hold it for another 4 seconds before you breathe back in. Extremely difficult to do when you're having a bit of a panicky attack because your chest won't actually expand enough, and that's what you're trying to get it to do, is to open up to remove that fight or flight. You're using the reptilian part of your brain, and that's what's making you scared, and it's releasing. You're just trying to get the adrenaline down. You're trying to get the cortisol out of your system, and to make you just bring out a bit more sort of dopamine and stuff like that.
It really works. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
So I use that for calming myself down. And the other thing, which I got this tip from Mel Robbins, who I always thought was Tony Robbins' wife, but she isn't. She's like
crafty name.
Yeah, she's one of her own, so she's nothing to do with Tony. But her name's Mel Robbins, and she's got this podcast. And I remember listening to her about what she does when she has panic attacks.
Right.
And she said that she goes to the toilet or the bathroom or just excuses herself and literally just hugs herself. Do you remember me telling you about this?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
You hug yourself so tight. You get your arms and you just like this, you just hold yourself like a baby. And you just like, you can rub your back or your shoulder and you just say, it's okay, you're safe, I've got you.
Yeah.
And you just keep saying that. It's okay, I've got you. Yeah. Like you would hold a baby, a child, but you're holding yourself. And my God, it works. It is fantastic. It really, really works. So that, along with the breathing, is what is getting me through those panic attacks. It really is. It's just, it's really, really helping.
Yeah, and the big thing is you talk about the physicality side of grief and things, and it is so important. Our bodies and minds are completely and utterly connected, and most people will sit there, maybe they can't even get off the couch because they just can't move, and that's so important. If you can, just get out and go for a walk.
Oh yeah.
And I know, I don't want to see people, but you need the physical exercise, because it's going to make a huge difference to you. Because that's what I see it with you. If you haven't done your walk or you haven't done your Tai Chi or whatever it is, just some movement. It doesn't have to be excessive. It's not like, you've got to be super cardio. It's a 5-minute walk. Just move it on from that, and the difference it can make you feel just by physically moving. It can really just calm you down completely. Like, I hear of people that, they've had such a hard day, full of anxiety, full of problems. Everyone's feel like they've had a go at them, and go for a run, go for a walk, and by the end of it, you're a completely different person.
You really are. You really are. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and outside, just the fresh air. I was talking to Tess the other day, and again, what you see is not what she's feeling. She's all doll. She's beautiful girl. I know she's my daughter and I'm biased, but beautiful girl. Her hair's always lovely. She's always got mascara on, so her eyelashes always look so lovely. She always looks fresh and bright, and she works as a barista, and she'd go into club, doing her auditions, and she's trying her hardest. And then she phones me up, literally sobbing her heart out. Yeah. Just, I can't breathe. I can't stop thinking about Mama. I can't function. Well, she said to me the other day when she was writing her journal, she wrote Mum's name down, and she said, and I just started crying my eyes out. And me and her were talking about it, and she said, the thing that is helping me the most is getting outside and just walking, just going outside.
She's been walking around the seafronts and all sorts. Yeah.
And so I'm so proud of her for that. I'm so pleased that, because it's so easy, Bri. It's so easy and so comforting to just go and lay on your bed. And there's nothing wrong with this. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. But for me, it doesn't help.
But not all day.
No, but if that's what you do, that's what you do.
It is,
but for me, it doesn't help. It really doesn't. It makes me feel worse. And like I say, the breathing, the holding, and I'll talk about the community in a minute, but just the reassurance to yourself, and being outside, and like you say, just if you can just get a little bit of exercise in. Even if
that's a walk. That's what it means. Exercise is walk.
Yeah.
A walk is an exercise.
Yeah.
People say to me, "Oh, you don't have any problems," and it's like, yeah, I get anxious when I'm doing stuff. Everybody gets anxious about certain things and stuff. It's not like, oh, I've got anxiety. It's just, hey, that's life. That's what happens. Things get thrown at us. Or you're worried about the mortgage, or you're worried about this and that. But I tell you what, you go and work out, and you just get a sweat on. And I only work out in the garage. That's all I do, and I'm not pumping big weights and stuff like that. It's just I'm doing press ups or whatever I can do, And at the end of that 45-minute workout or whatever it is I've done, the difference how you feel in your mindset is just huge. And I can only say that I'm 61 in next month, and I'm doing it, and that again makes you feel proud that you're doing it, and don't do it to where you're going to injure yourself and stuff like that. Just nice and steady.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be like, oh my God, I can't breathe because I'm that exhausted. It's not. It's a walk, a 10-minute walk, 5-minute, whatever.
The next physical thing that grief brings that I never ever expected as well, that again is normal, I would imagine, is normal, but is shaking which I've always been a bit of a shaker anyway, but sometimes it can get like really, really bad. And, you know, again, Tess said to me when I was on the phone to her last night, she said she was singing on stage. She said, my feet were shaking. She said, my feet were actually shaking. And so just that shake, the feeling of shaking, which again, breathing massively helps. And also just the loss of, this is what I'm finding, is the loss of confidence and the loss of concentration. Now, I don't know whether this is because of the job we do. I don't know whether it's because we put content out publicly. I just have this massive fear at the moment of forgetting what I'm talking about. And quite often I'll start talking about something, and then I think, what am I talking about?
Yeah.
You know, what am I saying? What where am I even going with this? And
so lack of focus is what you're saying, really, isn't it? To a degree, because you're talking about something and it's going in the background, isn't it? It's like, so you've got to pull yourself back in, but you're the one who's talking. So how do you pull yourself back in when you're actually over here now? And it's that I totally agree with that. Most of my life's been like that, Les.
Really?
Yeah,
really?
Because I'll drift off. You know, even just a minute ago, I was starting to drift off. I think, well, come back in.
Am I boring you?
No, because you're just you're talking about stuff I've probably heard before, but it's you know, it's so hard. It's so good to be able to do a podcast because you've got to keep pulling yourself back in. You know, it's like, I know the first time I learned about mindfulness, like, and there's a boat and on the water, and then imagine there's a chain and the boat's pulling on the chain, on the anchor, and that's like your breath. It's like, be aware again, keep be in the moment, stay, where you are.
Yeah.
And you do, because I'm always looking, did I pull that lead out when I stood on it before? Is actually the lead to the camera working? And I'm thinking, how the hell do I know? And then you've got to stop thinking of that and just concentrate.
Yeah, just focus. Yeah. But it's easier said than done, though.
Of course it is. Yeah.
And like I say, probably that is it's just your mind is all over. It's hard to focus, and just remember that when you're talking to someone next time, you look at them and you think, oh yeah, you're holding it together. You're in your mind, in their mind, it's probably just going, what's the next word I've got to say? What am I going to be saying next? But
And one of the hardest things in the world is to listen to someone without, oh, that's like me. That's like me. I know that, and that's patience is a huge thing at the moment. That's what you've just got to let the person talk. Like you say, do you want this to be? What is it you always say? The three things. Is it hug, hear, or
the art of having a conversation with someone is that this is what I've read. Is when you go into a conversation with someone, you have to, it's good to ask them. I mean, you're not going to do this with everyone that you meet, but me and you just talked about this before this podcast.
Yeah.
Is the 3 H's. And that is, do you want me to help you? Do you want me to hug you? Or do you want me to hear you when we're having this conversation? And, I wish I'd known about that when we were raised, when we were at the kids, when the kids were little, because so many, and I'm really trying to be aware of it now as well. When, when I talk to Sonny on the phone, he's away at the moment, he's doing a tour in theatre company. And my immediate go-to is help. Yep. If he phones me up and says, oh, I've just found this great quote. He phoned me up the other day, for instance, and he was talking about mum and the way he's been feeling. Yeah. And he said, I found this great quote from Shakespeare. And I don't know what the quote is now, but it was something like, "You don't know grief until you've lived in those shoes," sort of thing.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Like you should never judge anyone who's grieving, because unless you've been in their shoes, you don't know. And rather than me thinking, and I did try, and I really, really made it, I really tried hard. Rather than me just thinking, oh, he just wants a hug. This is a hug talk. I immediately went into mum mode and was like, help.
Crossed over to help.
Yeah. Crossed over to help for a minute, and then I brought myself back and remembered it was a hug. Don't need to help here, Liz. But
that's the thing, and the majority of 9 times out of 10, it's to be heard, and the hug comes maybe afterwards, or the hug just means it's like a metaphorical sort of hug, isn't it? Like just listen to me. Biggest thing is people just want to be heard. It's like, I'm getting lost here and no one's listening to me. But the biggest thing is to be heard. And that's what without throwing in your 2 penneth worth.
It was great the other day, Bri, because I really got it right. It's not often I get it right, but this time I got it right.
Did you?
Yeah, because Tess phoned me up.
50-second rule?
What?
50-second rule?
No, I haven't got a problem with 4-second rule. I think you've got the problem with the 4-second rule. You need to remember that.
The majority of people have got a problem with the 4-second rule. It's like, shut up.
Look at my hands. I
know,
squeeze
yeah.
my
You see
thumb
me
when I'm
with my
talking.
fingers.
Yeah.
I'm constantly like this.
But yeah, she phoned me up and she was just rabbiting on about, she was just, the poor girl had been left to open the cafe on her own. And she was there feeling sorry for herself. It's not fair. I'm on minimum wage and I'm expected to be the manager and I've got to do all this and I've got to do all that. And I'm exhausted and I was up late last night and I did so well. I went like this. I went, because I thought this is a hug me conversation, Liz. This is a hug me conversation. So I went, oh, that's not on. It really is. Oh, darling, I'm sorry. Oh, no, that's not. You must be exhausted. I am exhausted. And it's just not fair because I'm on minimum wage. Oh, I know. But, you can always go, well, maybe if I was you, I'd leave that job. No, I don't want to leave it because I really like it here. And I'm like, oh, results.
Yeah, well
Isn't it great when you just...
That's when you hit the nail on the head.
You do. And you feel like just running around with your knickers on your head going, I did it.
Yeah.
I did it.
I know now. I've sorted it out. The rest of my life is easy. Yeah.
Do you know what? It just reminded me then when I looked down at my notes, I've just written, what is helping you, Liz? What is helping you through this grief? And by me sharing this, hopefully it will come, help you as well listening to this. But laughter,
huge.
Oh, it's hard to come by, and it's been hard to come by these last few weeks. But it feels so good when you laugh.
I know, yeah.
It really does.
It releases a lot of tension in your body, doesn't it? A bit of laughter. It's so hard to do because again, you feel guilty, don't you? That you shouldn't be laughing and stuff, like
I don't know if it's maybe guilty, but just
guilt and fear, the biggest things that cock up everything, really, aren't they?
What, guilt and fear?
Guilt and fear. Guilt and fear. Guilt and fear.
It's I just think it's hard to find things to laugh at unless you go out of your way to find them. And I think that's the key is rather than watching films about, my go-to films aren't comedy, but maybe that would do us good, if we just watch some really good comedy.
That was when Tess was back a few weeks back, wasn't it? And because she'd come home for 3 weeks after that big show and she's wanted some time off. And she was like, oh, let's watch Notting Hill. Let's watch 4 Weddings and a Funeral. And even though there's death in 4 Weddings and a Funeral, it's still a funny film, isn't it?
We watched all of those.
You just watched all those English rom-coms or whatever they are, and you just think, afterwards it was just like, oh, that feels good.
Yeah. The second thing that's been helping me massively, and I'm going to write about this in my newsletter, actually. I won't go into too much detail here. I'm going to write an essay about it and send it to my beautiful newsletter subscribers on the front row. Yeah. If you're not part of that newsletter, then you can get to it by going to www.itsadrama.com/front row, as in front row seat. But yeah, I'm going to write about that. I'll touch on it briefly now, and I haven't told you this, so you might just think I am totally bonkers when I share this with you. But and actually now I'm nervous about saying it because this is going to sound maybe a bit weird. But, I do my journaling every day.
Yep.
And every day I write my 3 pages. I got this, I was given this tip probably about 12 or 13 years ago from the book, I've lost it.
Not The Artist's Way. No.
Yes, thank you, Brian. The Artist's Way. Things. Julie Cameron, The Artist's Way. And she says to write 3 pages of mind dump, basically just words that are in your head in the morning before you do anything else. Write these 3 pages down. And then at the end, you just screw them up or do whatever you want with them, but you don't read them back. Nice. It's not a journal that you read back. It's just a mind dump. I call it my pages. And anyway, so I've been doing that for that practice every day, almost every day for the last 12 or 13 years. It has saved me. It has inspired me. It has driven me. It has made the best decisions ever in my life. It's just, I can't thank that practice enough and recommend it enough.
Yeah, it's made a huge difference to your focus over those that time, hasn't it?
It really does.
Instead of like that worrying, it's just like, oh, it's gone.
Yeah,
because
when I'm worried about something, I notice that you always say, "Have you done your pages this morning?" Or "Have you done
maybe
your
you should go and do your pages." It's 3:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah, go and do your notes, Liz. But what I want to share with you, which again, total vulnerability here, and I my hands now are just clenched together because I'm scared to share this. But I did my notes the other day and was talking to my mum in a conversation, writing down her words to me. Mm-hmm. So if you had been watching over my shoulder, it was so weird. It was just so profound. It was like my hands had been possessed and I was just writing so quickly. Mm. And it was her talking to me.
All right.
It was her saying what she wanted to say to me,
right,
writing it down. And if you listen to my little thing that I did, I don't know what the word is, eulogy or whatever it was called.
The eulogy. Yeah,
that I did for Mum. You will know that
what that's called now.
I don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah.
You'll know that I told you what Mum said to me before she went. She said, "Every word you write, I will be there with you." And I couldn't stop thinking about that. And yeah, I just started to write and it was her talking to me. Mm. And she was telling me what she wanted to say.
Yeah.
And I was asking her, but what about this? And what about that? And why didn't that happen? And why is he doing that? Why is he behaving like this, Mum? And she told me. Mm. And she told me all the things that she wanted to say. And she told me how I should go and go on with my day,
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, I know that sounds really weird and just sounds
it doesn't sound weird. That's why they make films about things like that frequency, talking to his dad in the future and stuff. Because, realistically, yes, they're there, but it's slightly different but
it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. And I haven't felt the need to do it again. It was just that one time that I was really, really struggling.
Needed some answers
to a few things. And it was like, it came through. Mm-hmm. So now I totally and utterly believe that if I want to know something and I want to hear what she has to say, that's what I have to do.
Right. Well, that's at least you can take some solace in that, can't you?
Yeah.
But, it's like, wow, because you do miss all those things about your mum, about, I'll just phone, and the amount of times you've said to me, I wish I could just talk to her, and while you're talking about that, that's what has been a big thing with the grief as well, is the support blanket that has been taken away, because, like the family home is not the same anymore. No. It's not there anymore. It's not, you can't just think, oh, if everything goes wrong, I'll go and stay with my mum.
I know.
It's all gone, isn't it? Like, that side of it. It's just like you feel like a lot more alone here now.
You really do. And no one prepares you for that, do they? No. That's what a lady called Trudy said to me on YouTube. She's like, she left a comment and she just said exactly that. Mm. She said, you just feel like you're the grown up and there's no one to fall back on. And you just think, well, because Mum was always there. She's like, she would say to me, "Oh, Lizzie, if the worst comes to the worst, come and live with me." Yeah. "Oh, but Mum, what if we go traveling and what if Brian can't get a job when we come home? What if you can't get a job? Just come and live with me. I'll feed you." Yeah. Just simple things like that.
Live in a caravan down in the field.
Yeah. "Oh, Mum, we want to go traveling, but what about the kids? Oh, they can come and live with me. I'll lend you a couple of grand.
Yeah.
I'll put it on my mortgage. I'll do whatever. I'll put it on my credit card." She was always there. Yeah. "Oh, Mum, I need a steamer. I'll get you one from the charity shop." You're just little things that she was there for that now she isn't. And all of a sudden you just feel like you're on this iceberg just floating around with nothing to support you around you. Yeah. And no one warns you about that.
No, they don't. And that's that. Yeah, it is not preparing you for it, but it's a big part that you don't understand when they're there.
Yeah, you
that's
take
what
it for granted, don't you?
You just really do. It's like it's always there, like and it's that side of it. It's even been hard for me, that side of it, but especially hard for you, because it was such a big part of your life, and it's just that support mechanism, isn't it? That's there.
Just whipped out from under your feet.
Not there anymore.
And all of a sudden, you feel like you've got to be the adult, don't you, Bri?
Well, you do, and you are.
I know, but I don't
at our
feel
ages,
like it.
yes, we are. But you just don't want to, like you say, wear that crown, do you? It's just like, it's always nice for someone else to have that, like,
Yeah. The other two things that helped, because I'm aware that now this podcast is
coming up to an hour now.
Yeah, I know. But the other two things that helped or are helping massively are the surrounding myself with a community that I've got already.
And that's not just the community that you're talking about in the NZ Ahead community. You're talking about your whole community.
I'm talking about all of them. Yes.
YouTube and everyone else.
Yeah.
And podcasting.
I am. And then if you rewind back to the beginning of this podcast where you said, you're different on all those things. The one thing that is never different is the roots of me that is in the ground that will always be the same. And that community that is around me, the Slack community that I have on NZ Ahead, the YouTube community, the podcast listeners, the email newsletter, the Front Row newsletter, all of those people that have just surround me with wonderful love. That's who I'm talking about. Yeah. And to be around people, even though inside you're going, no, I just want to put my head under this rock and never come out again. And I want to sit in my wardrobe with the door closed. And I never want to, bless you, I never want to talk to anyone. It doesn't help to do that. You've got to just be brave and put yourself out and let people surround you. Let people help you. Let people talk to you. Let people just be with you. And even if that's a little way, like my friend Jen, she just sends me hearts, on the phone. And
someone's thinking about you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It helps massively. So that would be the second thing, the third thing, or like the millionth thing, whatever it is I've talked about.
Yeah, but that's to help other people as well, isn't it? It's like you say, those things.
Yeah.
Like if you can implement that as well,
Yeah, and I'm hoping that that's what this does.
Yes.
That's what this podcast.
That's what the idea of it was, wasn't it?
Of course. Yeah. It's like if you're there now and you're thinking, I don't want to go out the door, but I'll listen to this podcast and you're talking and you can hear us talking and it's like a conversation between me, you and Bri, then that is flipping big tick, big massive tick, or like Tessa tick, a big Tessa tick.
It's helped someone.
You've
That's
done
what,
right.
Yeah. The whole thing of what we do is to help people, is to pass it on.
Yeah.
Pass it on your struggles and helps and things. And if it helps someone, great. If it doesn't, then we haven't lost anything, have you? No, but if you help someone, you've gained something massive, And then
the last thing I want to talk about, which this again is a very personal thing. So we use I certainly do use sleep meditation apps. And Brian, you recorded a sleep meditation
to
for
help
me,
you.
Yeah. To help
look
me.
into my eyes. Look into my eyes.
No, it's not like that.
No,
it's
of course it's not.
Gorgeous. And listening to your voice, you've got a very, very relaxing, deep, soothing voice. I don't know if has anyone ever told you that?
Not really, no. It's funny because if you talk to me normally, I don't really. I don't know. I think it's just because I try and relax when I'm on the podcast, so it ends up being quite a deep and relaxing voice.
Yeah, well, it's not that deep. That's just
but if
freaky.
You talk to me in the day, I'm not really this sort of deep, I suppose. I don't know. Maybe I am. But
anyway, Brian recorded for me a 30-minute sleep meditation where he's just talking and saying, like, relax the parts of your body. And oh God, I can't get enough of it. I don't need to talk to you anymore, Brian, because all I want to do is listen
just
to
record
your
it and that's
sleep
just, I'm off to bed. Who with?
My mate Brian. And you might think that this is just like, because I was thinking about this, because I was telling someone the other day and I thought, I wonder if they're thinking, well, why don't you just get Brian to talk to you at night? But the trouble is,
too tired.
You're always asleep.
61. Come on. You've got your headphones on.
Thank you, Bri, because that has helped massively. And do you know what? I'm desperate to actually share that with people, because if it's helping me sleep, it would help other people sleep.
Maybe that's what we could call the product.
What?
To bed with Brian.
In bed with Brian.
In bed with Brian.
I tell you what, you laugh.
Yeah.
But that sleep meditation that you've made for me, Bri. No, honestly, I'm serious now. Stop smiling.
Yeah. I was thinking of something else.
Well, don't think about that.
Sleep with Brian.
No. Brian, I'm being serious.
Yeah, you're going to listen to it now, will you?
What? No, because I do listen to it every night.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, that would help people.
There you go.
Yeah.
I've always got this effect on people.
What?
Just go to sleep when I talk. I just like to talk about this. That's how you turn up.
Right, I'm going now.
I'm going to fix the car.
So we hope you enjoyed this this podcast about what grief looks like, but what actually grief feels like. And in some way, it has helped you, even if it's a little way that you've just thought, oh, do you know what? Yes, it's made me feel so much better, because that's what this is all about. Yeah. And this is why we're doing it. And that's why we're showing up in these behind the scenes episodes. And I know, like I say, I know it's not our normal stuff, but this is it. This is real life.
But this is life in New Zealand.
Yes, it is
because this is
happening
happening to us in New Zealand, how we're coping with it, isn't it? Yeah.
I did promise to share with you a behind the scenes little
This
tip.
is what you wrote down. I can read it upside down now.
Yeah, I did promise to share this with you. So if you've stayed right until the end, this is for you. We recorded a video about food in New Zealand, right?
Yeah.
And it was all about what food had brought us comfort in New Zealand. We released it last week. So if you're listening to this podcast in June 2024, that's when we released it. And it was called Kiwi Comfort Food. And the last one that we talked about was getting hot chips.
Hot chips, yeah.
Hot chips. And going down to the seafront and eating them. Yeah. And we talked about how wonderful it was, which it is. But we didn't have any footage. We didn't have any footage on, like B-roll to put over the video to show people what hot chips look like. So we went off on the last Sunday, and we said, right, what we'll do is we'll video each other buying these hot chips. Yeah. And I mean, this is how professional we are. And we'll make
reverse engineering our film.
Yes, yeah. We'll just reverse engineer it, and we'll record the chips, and we'll record us down at the beach, and then we'll put the B-roll, the footage, over the video, and everything will look perfect. Bearing in mind what I've just told you about panic attacks and can't think and shaking and lack of concentration and all the rest of it, we went down to the Foursquare, we buy the chips, 2 big tubs of hot chips. I'm in the car filming Brian walking across the road. He comes over the road with the hot chips. He gets into the car and is like, oh, everything's going perfect. Yeah, this is brilliant.
Handlers the chips.
Brian gives me the chips. I hold the chips in between my knees while I'm putting my seatbelt on. And while Brian, this is all your fault, while you pulled away too quickly.
Oh, did I?
All the chips fell out of the tubs, went into the footwell of the sandy footwell of the car that's full of grit and dog hairs and sand.
And God knows what else off his feet.
And all the chips just were all over the carpet in the car. I burst out crying. Brian was like, Liz, why did you?
I just went, Liz?
Yeah, you went, Liz.
I went, oh, Liz. Because it was like, oh.
Excuse me. You didn't go, oh, Liz. Well, you didn't, Brian. It wasn't a help her moment. It wasn't a hug her moment. It was a shout at her moment. You went, Liz, like that. And I just burst out crying. And I went, it's fine. I'll just put them all back in. And I was scooping the chips off the floor in the car and putting them back in the box.
Yep.
Well, like I say, with grit and sand and dirt.
Well, one of them was all right and one box was all over, wasn't it? Yeah.
And then we took those same chips down to the beach. This is what professionals we are.
Yeah.
And also tight, because we couldn't go back into the Foursquare and spend another $5 on a clean portion of chips.
Yeah, but the other ones would have been cold then, wouldn't they?
We took them down to the beach and then filmed ourselves eating these chips that look delicious.
All the chicken salt had flown off them all over the floor.
But we're actually covered in gross stuff
in
from
grit.
The floor. There you go. There's a bit of behind the scenes for you.
There you go.
So next time you watch that video, just have a look. Just look at my face. Lovely chips, when really what I was thinking was
grit on them. These
are disgusting. What disease am I going to catch by eating these? Oh, so there you go. So thank you so much for joining us. Next week, we're going to share with you. We've booked a month away. We've booked a trip. We need a trip. We need an escape. And next week, when you join us on the podcast, we will tell you where we've booked, where we're going, why we're going there, and what we plan to do when we're there. So join us next week for that. But in the meantime, thank you so much for being here with me. You help. Look again. Look how much I've bribed. It's just, I love you. I love you so much for listening, for being here, for your comments. Everything you bring to me. I appreciate you so, so much. Do not forget, our hearts beat with yours. You are wonderful. Have a great day. Sending you so much love, and I'll speak to you soon.
Yep. So kia kaha, stay strong, ki'u, stay true. And yeah, like Liz says, love you, and we'll see you next time.
Okay.
See you now.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hello.
At 3:15 a.m, he has his first breakfast. So after he's done all his prayers, he's been up, he gets up at 2:30, starts praying.
Yeah.
And then at 3:15 in the morning,
Yeah.
he has his first breakfast, which consists of oats, blueberries, eggs, and peanut butter. Right?
Yeah.
At 4 o'clock till 5 o'clock
I'll be doing that when he's 60.
in the morning, 4 o'clock till 5 o'clock,
Yeah.
goes for a run.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, I wouldn't fancy running after blueberries and eggs.
Not really.
That'd be gross, wouldn't it? Burping all the way down the street.
That's it.